right, good afternoon, everybody. Today is Monday, May 3rd, and the Browns are the best team in the world. Tom, what's up?
Not much, man, and by golly, they had a fantastic draft.
They did. We'll obviously talk about them and, I don't know, every other draft pick probably. So, how's finals going?
I didn't have it too bad this semester because I had 6 classes total, and 4 of my classes had either a project or a paper. Some of them were group projects and such, so I didn't have as much of a workload. And then I only had 2 classes that were physical finals. I took the first one of those this morning, my European history class.
It's a tough one. How'd you do?
I think I should do okay. A lot of them are open-ended, so I didn't get any kind of reflection of my grade yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was actually in the position this semester to finish with all A's for the first time in college, which is solid. But I needed a 95 on this final for that to even be possible, and there's no shot of that. So,
bummer. I think I dropped. I had a 4.3 in high school, and then my best grades in college I think I got a 1.5 one semester. Yeah, that's why I didn't go to college. All right, so today in sports history. Oh yeah, I forgot to ask you. How do you feel about Zach Wilson today? Now that it's all over and it's in the past, how do you feel about him today?
I mean, like we had kind of talked about, man. I mean, you just gotta embrace the change that's happening. You gotta get excited about what you got, and I already ordered my jersey. I'm excited.
What number is he gonna wear?
I don't know. I ordered it off Fanatics, and the way that Fanatics does it is they wait like 2 weeks after the draft because that's like the deadline that the players give the NFL like what jersey they're wearing, and then after Fanatics confirms with the NFL, they start sending out the jerseys with the correct number.
Gotcha. Yes, so, I use Fanatics quite a bit.
I should be getting my hat though by Wednesday.
You got a draft hat. I didn't like the draft hats this year.
I did. I love the mesh backs of them. Like I like this because I can wear them backwards, but sometimes you just need a mesh hat so that you can wear them straight up. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, that was your hat wearing tips from Tom. So today's sports history. In 1900, it was the 26th Kentucky Derby. Jimmy Boland won aboard Lieutenant Gibson, won in 2 minutes and 6 seconds. In 1941, the 67th Kentucky Derby, Eddie Arcaro aboard Whirlaway. Whirlaway ended up winning a Triple Crown. In 1936, New York Yankee Joe DiMaggio makes his major league debut, and he got 3 hits. So that's interesting. So some current events in what we got going on. Apparently the NBA, once again, is just doing everything wrong. I guess Luka Doncic is like 1 tech away from being suspended. LeBron ripped the play-in tournament. It is unbelievable that they decided to do the play-in tournament this year. So not like looking ahead or anything. That was so dumb for them to put that in there this year when they already are going to have a crushed timeline.
I'm not going to lie. I kind of hated how they did it. I hated the idea of it. But I think some light needs to be kind of shed on something else from the situation. LeBron came out and was like, oh, I'm bashing this, that, or whatever. And he hates the idea now. But if you go back 2 years ago during a media session in 2018, LeBron James, and this is a quote, said, "That's whack. You've got to earn your spot in the postseason. No consolation for finishing last. That's corny." So now he's flipping back on it now that the Lakers have slid down the rankings. And I know that was 2018. It wasn't on the Lakers yet, but I just find it funny how things are different now that the team's not number 1 in the conference.
Yeah, I mean, but that it seems like every NBA player has something to say about something that they either contradicted a year earlier or will contradict in a year. I mean, I mean, we talk about it almost every time. I mean, the NBA is almost unwatchable. Like, there was a report that came out over the weekend about the Cavs and Colin Sexton, who I don't love Colin Sexton. I think he's all right, but basically he's a 6 foot shooting guard who is 6 feet tall, really, which doesn't fit, and he's not like a primary ball handler. But
Yep.
apparently, all the Cavs are like done with Colin Sexton because they know they're sick of him dominating the ball, and I guess opposing players taunt the Cavs players by looking at them and telling them, he's not going to pass you the ball. So yeah, the Cavs front office is a mess. I mean, Sexton, who knows what's happening with him? I mean, it really sucks when the NBA is going towards like bigger, longer, leaner players, more like athletes, and then you draft in the first round, 3 years ago, you draft Colin Sexton, who's 6 feet, and he's not a primary ball handler, and then you draft basically his clone, Darius Garland, the next year, who is a primary ball handler. Like, I don't know. I just don't get it. The NBA doesn't make sense. I mean, maybe the play-in would have worked back in 2018. Like, I'm sure times were different, and I understand the contradiction as well. But I mean, it just seems like they continue to do everything wrong, and it's dumb. I just don't get it.
Yeah, this is like why I don't watch the NBA. There's just too much going on and too much drama.
Yeah, it's the NBA's become like honestly, I feel like when we talk about the NBA, like we don't talk about sports. It's about pop culture. That's all the NBA
Right.
is. It's pop
Well, like I
culture.
don't know if you saw, but like apparently Kevin Love has had a couple of different on the court issues with the
Yeah,
Cavs.
this last one was pretty bad.
It was pretty bad. I mean, he was basically throwing a temper tantrum on the court. And for no reason. Like, yeah, Colin Sexton doesn't pass the ball. Get used to it. You're on the Cavs. So now,
First of all, I'll always take Kevin Love over. I thought Colin Sexton was a terrible pick a couple of years ago, and he still is. He's scoring 20 points a game, over 20 points a game, but he like his assist numbers are nowhere near like Devin Booker or those guys, and he takes more shots than Kawhi, Paul George, and someone else. Like, it's just crazy. And like, I understand Kevin Love, like he put himself in this position by signing that contract and coming on. He kind of got screwed. I mean, mostly. I mean, Kyrie Irving screwed over that whole thing because he's a dumb, stupid, idiot 29-year-old. But I mean, I don't blame. I don't blame Kevin Love for throwing a temper tantrum. I mean, it's basically in today's NBA, it's either you're one of the top like 18, 19 teams and you're trying to get in the playoffs, or you're just trying to lose as bad and as horribly as you can. So, like I said, Kevin Love got stuck in this situation, and that's his fault because he now has a contract that can't be traded, basically. But at the same time, it's like I get it. Like,
yeah,
it's exactly what's wrong with the NBA. I mean, they win a championship. Kyrie decides that his other mind wants to be his own player, so he forces a trade. LeBron, I mean, he came back to Cleveland, so I'll never hate him, but he did kind of bitch out and going back to LA, doing it so quietly and signing a 2-year deal. So I'm not in love with LeBron James, but it's just like there's no point in it anymore. Like it just goes on and on for me, and I don't understand why people like. I mean, actually, I guess I do, because it is pop culture. It's not sports; it's pop culture.
yeah.
Um,
I'm just looking at Colin Sexton's stats. I mean, he's averaging 24.4 points per game, which is 18th in the NBA, but he's averaging 4.1 assists, which is 49th. Like, usually you want your point guards to kind of be balanced with that. So, yeah, you could drop 24, but you want to drop at least 6 assists.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing. He's not a point guard. He's never going to be a point guard. Like, and they did like it feels like the Cavs are like on the opposite end of the spectrum, where teams are now trying to draft like athletes that can shoot and just like big, strong, like tall, lengthy athletes. And then when that happens, the Cavs decided to make the dumbest move in drafting a shooting guard who's barely over 6 feet tall, who has to, who, it's not even that Colin Sexton like comes off screens. He has to have the ball to score. Like, it's not like he can come off screens and do that. I mean,
he's not a spot up shooter. He's a guy that's he's a rhythm shooter almost. He has to dribble.
And the whole, I mean, Kevin Porter Jr. Basically the Cavs put like a lot of effort into him this past 2 years, and I think he dropped like 50 the other weekend for the Rockets. And it's like, really? Why did we? Yeah, so we didn't keep him. They apparently like tried to work with him for a year, and then something happened in the locker room, and they just cut him out. I don't know. It's just I mean, I could probably predict the finals right now. It's going to be like the Lakers and the Nets. Yeah,
Lakers and Nets.
And it just has become also like that. Like, I don't really want to know about what NBA players do. Like, that's what made NBA players so special back then, is you can see them and like interact with them because they're like regular people. But now it's like I have no interest in what Damian Lillard recorded his fire song. Like, I just don't care. But we'll move on from the NBA.
I just want to point out Kevin Porter Jr. scores his career high 50 points in the Rockets, who are the worst team in the NBA by far. Comeback victory against the Bucks. He did it against the Bucks. Like, Jesus.
And that's what also doesn't make sense. Like, I would be into the NBA if I could gamble on it, but I can't, because like that. You just said that score. Like, I mean, where was that coming from? Like,
well, and that was 143 to like 136.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable how little defense they play, and
so I think a parlay put together tonight because I got my friend gave me a good tip, so I'm going for it tonight. But like, I don't bet on the NBA usually. Like, I'm not gonna religiously bet on it.
With the, I mean, we'll get into the NFL now, anyways. But with the Browns being actually like good and contending, it's incredible how much of the city cares about the football team and just really doesn't care about the other sports. Like, well, first of all, I've already said I'm not going to an Indians game this year with my own money because I'm not giving the Dolans my money. And I mean, honestly, even if I got like credentialed to go to a Cavs game, I don't know if I would go. Like, so it's like I don't want to watch that. So I don't know. But I mean, people like NBA, I understand. And I was talking to Randy earlier, and they do their whole hardwood huddle, which is actually more interesting to me than regular, because they're talking about like Vince Carter and him being the king of Canada and things like that. And they're going to talk about the Cavs 2016 championship like soon. Like, I would much rather listen to those type of NBA stories than like Ben Simmons is back together with Kylie Jenner.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's all it is now. You know, I was on The Score earlier because that's the app that I use for my sporting news. The front headline when you first open it up and just top overall news stories was the fact that Devin Booker is breaking the Kardashian-Jenner curse. I don't give a flying crap about the Kardashian-Jenner curse. Like, show me real sports news from the NBA, not some, like you said, pop media BS.
I hate the Kardashians so much, but I'm not going to get into that.
We're not going to get into it because it's more pop culture, and this is a sports show.
Also in the NBA, Steph Curry can go away again. I'm pretty sick of him. Like, okay, dude, you went off. You had your couple 50-point games. Just go away. Like, I understand we have to, like, he's by far the best shooter in the NBA history and will go down as that. And that's cool that we get to watch him now. But it still doesn't mean his unanimous MVP was worth shit. And I don't want to watch Steph Curry in an NBA game just go out and shoot 57 threes.
Yeah, and that's all he does. Like, I'm not surprised that he went on a run of 50-point games. I'm more excited about Kevin Porter Jr. dropping 50 on the Bucks than him scoring 50 for like a month.
Yeah, it's because no one cares. Because I have a reason to hate Steph Curry, but I mean, they're just the Warriors. How quickly they went from being like the best team ever to now fighting for
Playoff
the
spot.
top lottery pick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's again what's wrong with basketball. You can literally go from being NBA title to like last in the league with one move. So,
See, but it's also exciting to watch the Knicks, who are always getting screwed in the lottery for their one pick.
hey,
And
you got Patrick Ewing.
yeah, but
I
I'm
mean,
saying like recently, remember they were projected to get the one pick, and then like they gave it to the Pelicans, and then the Lakers had 2 picks or whatever. Whatever. I'm not, but like then the Knicks have like not a ton of expected talent, and then they come onto the scene and they're like 4th in the East right now.
yeah, and I'll say like I'm enjoying the Knicks being good right now. But like if they're ever back like perennial, like I'm gonna hate Knicks fans. I mean,
I don't
it's just
watch.
annoying.
I don't watch the
Yeah,
Knicks though.
like once if like they get back to where they were in the 80s and 90s, like I'm just gonna hate Knicks fans. So whatever.
Fair enough.
Quick MLB notes. I guess Mike Trout's having his best start ever, which once again brings us to the point of another professional sport in America not marketing the right way.
Yeah.
It,
Literally,
like,
Mike
the
Trout.
the only reason I put that in this was I was just going through ESPN today, and it was one of the headlines. So baseball is the worst at it, but Mike Trout's the man.
He's projecting, and like everyone's talking about him potentially going down as the best baseball player ever. And I was reading like a Forbes list from 2 or 3 years ago of like the most marketable sports athletes or whatever. Care to guess where Mike Trout was on that list? And
I
being
would
the
say
face of baseball,
no.
he was 27th. Going down
Yeah,
as the best player ever and the face of MLB, and he's 27 on the list.
I do have to say, I mean, it is going to suck when it's all said and done because Mike Trout will probably, and then, I mean, there's some people coming up who could be good, but Mike Trout has been the best baseball player for the last 15 years. And I mean, it sucks. It just sucks that he never got out of the bad side of Los Angeles. Like, even if he was with the Dodgers, like they would have marketed him way better. But just because he plays for the Angels, they can't market him. So,
yeah.
And then for the Yankees, Corey Kluber, old Indians pitcher, had 10 strikeouts for Yankees the other day, giving him his 100th career win, which does bring up the question, do you think we'll ever see another 300-win pitcher?
No, probably not, because the game it's not built the way that it was. Like you got a guy like, let's just even take a guy like Ty Cobb or Cy Young. Cy Young they have the award after him for the best pitcher. That dude pitched complete games and he pitched in consecutive days. Like we're never going to see someone reach 300 wins.
Yeah.
That's just not how the MLB is built.
There's like 5 guys in the MLB right now who I see that are capable of going full 9 innings if their managers let them. I mean, I think, not Justin Bieber, Shane Bieber. He's one of them that can go the whole 9. I think Max Scherzer's another one. I think DeGrom's another one, and maybe a couple more. But yeah, I mean, and maybe a couple more. But other than like that core, and that core group is getting older. I mean, I know Shane Bieber's still young, but that's getting older. And with how much your arm matters in baseball and how much people are trying to like get kids prepared younger. I don't know what I was going to say.
Well, like the fact that the game is.
Oh yeah. They're not. The kids aren't raised anymore to play to play baseball, B to pitch 9 innings. Like, yeah, go ahead.
Well, and the fact that like you're expected to throw 100 miles an hour nowadays, like there's a lot more room for injury. We see more and more people getting Tommy John, and you have relievers who the only thing they do is come in for 1 inning just to throw like 104. Like,
or not even that. They come in for 1 batter sometimes.
Exactly. And then they use all the juice they have to throw. What did Chapman throw? What was his fastest pitch? Like 108 or something like that?
105 would, I think, be probably the top. I don't think anyone is anywhere near 110.
Let's see. Fastest pitch ever. Doris Chapman, 2010, hit 105. I was a little off.
I was correct.
Yeah, 105.1. Fastest fastest pitch ever recorded.
I mean, I can't even begin to fathom how you hit that.
Yeah, like you don't even have a split second.
You just have to swing the bat as his motion comes forward. But
but like you have guys like that. Yeah, no, Nolan Ryan hit 108.1.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, look up fastest pitch ever and then go to Bleacher Report.
That's whatever. I believe you. I'm not looking it up.
I'll send you the link.
I don't want the link either. All right, we're moving on from baseball. But yes, I think we both agree that baseball players just aren't raised anymore to pitch long innings.
Yeah. Anyway.
And FCS playoffs yesterday. Delaware beat Jacksonville State, and they will face South Dakota State in one of the semifinals. South Dakota State is the number 1 seed. And then Sam Houston State finally beat North Dakota State, and they will play James Madison in the FCS semifinals. That one will be in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and the other one will be in South Dakota. So, and then as we go into the draft, the SEC breaks their own record of players drafted with 65. They had 65 players drafted this year. So, all right. So
that's a lot of players from one division.
It's a conference, not a division.
Conference. I realized that after the fact. Oh well.
All right. So we're gonna go through the teams, and we're kind of gonna do them fast. First, our first round grades for everybody. Or let's just talk like first round notables. I think. I think taking Trey Lance, I still don't think that was the right move for San Francisco. It's a better move than Mac Jones, but I don't know.
I mean, I think that it was a nice pick because they don't have to rush him into the starting spot with Garoppolo. If they had traded away Garoppolo to New England, and we're going to be required to play him first game, I would agree with you. But the fact that he could have a year or two in the system and to catch up to speed, playing behind Garoppolo, I think might benefit him in the long run. So I don't hate it, but I don't know if I would have traded up for it.
Yeah, I agree.
Or at least up to 3. Like if you traded up to 5 for 6.
People kept saying like, oh, trading up to 3 for 15, like Mac Jones, that's a terrible pick, but Mac Jones at 15 is a great pick by New England.
Yeah,
it's somewhere in between that, really. I mean, Mac Jones probably is worse than 15th overall pick, but because of that, it's a good pick by the New England Patriots. But it would have been a bad pick by the 49ers. I know I asked you about Zach Wilson. Who was their second first round pick? Was it Etienne?
No, Etienne went 25 to the Jaguars. We got Elijah Vera Tucker. We traded up with the Vikings.
Wow. Oh, I don't really remember how the first round ended up playing out, but yeah, why were you mad? Oh yeah, because they took Elijah Moore instead of. First of all, if you want to look at the day 2, what that started with, that you could have convinced me that was a first round. There was a ton of players.
There were a ton of really solid players that we thought were going first round that were just sitting there and sort of sat into the middle of the second round. Like Tevin Jenkins, the Bears traded up for it. I think he was like, where's the Bears? Hang on. I want to get the pick right. They took him with the 39th overall pick. So like, what is that? You start at 33. So that's like the 8th or 9th pick of the second round. He was in the mid-20s for a lot of people's grades, or the early 20s of where he was projected to go.
I mean, that brings me to the Browns. I mean, Browns had obviously a great day one, but even a better day two, I thought. I mean, apparently, Owusu-Koramoah was in the talks at 26 for the Browns. So, but they had Greg Newsome fall to them, which I said he's going to be asked to do basically exactly what he did in college, which is off-ball man coverage. He's going to be asked exactly to do that in the Browns system. And then, I mean, just getting Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah at 52 was crazy. It's almost like we have too many secondary players right now. I don't know how they're all going to find the field. But
depth isn't bad.
I didn't hate the Elijah Vera Tucker pick. I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
I kind of, looking back on it, I don't understand why they picked Elijah Moore.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the only reason that they're going to do it is because they're planning on either cutting or trading Jamison Crowder, because he has a $10.5 million cap hit, I believe, where it's only $1 million if they cut him. So you're literally just drafting his replacement and a faster version of him. But like, the conversation I was having with my dad about it was, yeah, he might not be the most physically gifted guy on the field. He has a knack for finding the ball and getting open and then kind of moving with it. He's just a guy that finds a way to get open. My dad compared him to Wayne Corbett, where he wasn't the most talented guy on the field. He wasn't the biggest, the strongest, but he was a guy that the fans liked and had a knack for getting open and finding the first down and putting his body on the line for it. So I'm sad to see him go. I think his time in New York has come to a close, unless they decide not to. But I didn't understand the pick, especially when there were other needs that we could have filled.
Well, I mean, I understand the pick now. I mean, you got to shed $10.5 million or $9.5 million. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I mean, I never thought he was that good. I mean, like you said, he's probably a fan favorite in New York, but I never thought he was that good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like, he builds chemistry really well with quarterbacks too. Like, I had sent his stats over to Ryan when we were talking about it. He had multiple games with like double-digit targets, double-digit catches, and over 100 yards. So I can't find him now, but he knows how to work with the quarterbacks.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I think it was one of the most puzzling or questionable moves made was the Jaguars getting Etienne at 25.
Yeah, that
made no sense. That made absolutely no sense. I know you were on Etienne, so at least it isn't horrible. I mean, in my point of view, that's a horrible pick.
Well, I think it's horrible
with the amount of offensive linemen still left and receivers still left,
and defense. The Jaguars team was so depleted all over the place, and you decide to draft a position where you just had a guy like James Robinson accounted for 1,400 yards for the team.
You love James Robinson.
I love the fact he was an undrafted rookie and came out for 1,400 yards. Like that, he was their offense. Like DJ Chark had a bad year. The rest of the receivers had a bad year. I couldn't even tell you who the starting quarterback was once they benched Minshew. James Robinson was literally that entire offense. And they drafted his replacement. And I don't know if you saw, but Meyer came out afterwards and like, yeah, we're going to love to use Etienne in that third down role after we use Robinson and Carlos Hyde as our 1-2 punch up front. I'm like, that's just, you guys have too many running backs and you're not going to use them well. And you don't take a running back in the first round if you don't expect him to be a workhorse.
Yeah, that didn't make sense. I'm trying to think who else didn't really make sense. I have to go back and look over the first round.
Yeah,
so Trev, I think obviously everything up until I will say I don't like LSU going, or I don't like the Bengals going with Jamar Chase. I thought they should have taken Sewell.
I agree. I think protection for him was much more important.
And I mean, I understand Joe Burrow probably wanted Jamar Chase, but I mean, that way, at least you're building towards the future. I mean, you have two staple tackles now, at least if you would have drafted Sewell. So, I mean, the fact that he fell to the Lions, because I think the Lions were in a position basically just to take the best player available.
I think that was their plan.
Yeah, I mean, so getting him was, great for them at 7. Where else do I have? I thought Jalen Wild at 6 was bad too.
Yeah, I thought they were going to take Sewell when he was there. I don't understand why they didn't. I know he needed a receiver, but this year's receiving class was so deep, and they had a second first-round pick. I just thought that they were going to take Sewell if he was there and then move on and focus on receiver later in the draft. And then what was really puzzling was after taking Waddle with that 6th pick, Miami at 18 took Jalen Phillips, an edge rusher. Again, like I said, kind of curious, but they ended up taking Liam Eichenberg with the 42 pick. So everything kind of worked out, I guess.
But I mean, not really though. I mean, they got 2 defenders. I don't know. I just that defense that didn't make sense to me what Miami's plan was, because I mean, if anything, they have a solid defense. They need to add offensive firepower. But I mean, whatever, if that's the way what's his face wants to think. I think Najee Harris going to the Steelers was, that's going to give me nightmares for years, because
it's an unsurprising pick, but the only issue with it is that the Steelers don't have a really good line to open up holes for him. So it might be a little difficult for him at first, but I think long term that's going to be a solid pick from them.
The Giants going with Kadarius Toney was that made no sense. That made absolutely no sense.
Yeah, well, the fact that they traded back was great. They had a fantastic.
They should have gotten Kwity Paye. They should have picked Kwity Paye.
Kwity Paye, what it was the pick. They were literally projected that people were talking about them taking him at 11, and now you trade back and he's still sitting on the board. It's a dream scenario. And they took a receiver and not even the best one on the board.
Yeah, that was, I'm sure Indianapolis was like salivating. I mean, they probably couldn't get to the stage fast enough.
They got the pick in?
I didn't see it. No, I wasn't really watching most of the draft because I was doing the first round. I was doing the live stream, so I was just kind of taking as we go.
They got the pick in like literally 2.5 minutes. Like,
yeah.
Like the Jaguars took 8 minutes to get Trevor Lawrence pick in. Think about how fast they had to have ran that card up to get 2.5 minutes.
Let's see what else Devonte Smith to the Eagles.
Trading up, that was tough.
I don't see him being good. I hope he is, but I don't. I think Chicago. They better. The fact how much Chicago's offseason mirrors the offseason, whatever it was, like 3 or 4 years ago, it's uncanny. Like, it's horrible. Like, they have Nick Foles and Andy Dalton. Like, you don't need both the backups. So
they're going to end up trading one of them. It's probably going to be Foles because Dalton just signed the contract. But like Foles has a contract where he's getting $9 million this year. Like, that's going to be hard for someone to take on, especially after a lot of teams have already addressed their quarterback situation.
Yeah, the only thing they can really hope for is a starting quarterback goes down in the preseason or early in the year, and they need to get through a couple games. So I think that's the only way you pick up that contract. But yeah, I think they got lucky with Justin Fields. And if you look at the NFC North, if Aaron Rodgers does end up leaving the Packers, Justin Fields is probably the best quarterback in that division.
I don't know, bro. We could see one Kellen Mond burst out. Minnesota.
No. Is that who we went to? We went to Minnesota.
He used the Jets pick to do it from the trade up.
Minnesota's another team that I just feel like is in like purgatory. Like,
yeah, as long as they have Captain Kirk as their quarterback, they're never gonna break the bubble. He's just not good enough to go all the way.
So, I mean, I guess I hope they think Kellen Mond is the man. I don't really.
I love what he has, but it's up to them to unlock the keys to making him good. But the Vikings never seem to have either a positive or negative effect on a quarterback. A lot of times the quarterbacks that go there just kind of remain where they're at and don't really progress or regress. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Mon now that they drafted someone.
So I'll say after the Patriots picked Mac Jones at 15th, I would say the rest of the first round was kind of questionable. Like Zaven Collins 16 was, I mean, thank God for that because that's the only reason we landed Greg Newsome. But yeah, I mean, Alex Leatherwood. I mean, the Raiders
reach,
but it's not even it's like, what are they doing?
Yeah, with Tevin Jenkins still on the board, like Jesus.
It was I feel bad for the Raiders. I mean, they're in Vegas now, so whatever. I mean, if John Gruden starts out bad, I don't know if they can or can afford it. I mean, they got to let him go. I mean, John Gruden, it's clear he shouldn't be an NFL coach in today's NFL.
Well, in Mayock, this is what you get for getting an analyst as a GM. I mean,
don't get me started. Don't get me started on Mayock.
Okay.
I mean, you can literally take the Raiders drafts the last 5 years and like show it to a team and be like, this is what you don't do in the draft. Like drafting Ruggs last year. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't make a ton of sense.
Right.
But
so
Leatherwood, and then who came after Leatherwood? Jamin Davis was weird too.
Yeah. I didn't get the linebacker pick because the defense, like we had talked about with the Dolphins, the defense was already it's arguably the best part of their team.
Yeah, and I mean I know they were really high on Davis Mills, the quarterback out of Stanford, and they had the chance to get him in the second round, and they didn't. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess they're rolling with Heineke for the future.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was happy as hell when the Cardinals took Zaven Collins. I mean, I thought that was way, way too early. Oh, and I'm burying the lead. How did Dylan Moses not get drafted?
I don't know, dude. I was shocked.
When it came across like the ticker or something yesterday, I saw it. I went online and I was like, did he have an injury? Is there a drug test that he did? And I can't find really anything.
So he's nursing a lower leg injury is really what it was. Like he's still going through it and still rehabbing and everything, but he's nursing an injury. But to not even take him in the 5th, 6th, or 7th rounds.
Well, if this is his other knee or his other lower leg, that would be 2 lower leg issues in 2 years for him. So, because I know he tore his ACL last year, not this past year, but last year he tore his ACL or MCL or meniscus or something.
Yeah.
And so if this was a different leg, it makes no sense that he wasn't even drafted. I agree with that, but I could see why he fell then. But yeah, not being drafted, I mean,
someone would take a shot on him. Geez.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in the 7th round, I mean, what's the worst that happens? He doesn't make your team. I mean, you honestly can't go better if you have the last pick in the 7th round than just someone from Alabama, just any one of those players from Alabama. So if you can find anything else on him, but other than that, I just can't believe he didn't get drafted.
I found an article titled "Why Alabama Star Dylan Moses Went Undrafted," and I'm trying to speed read it real quick. Preseason knee injury in 2019 derailed his college career. 2020, he persevered through a meniscus injury that hampered his play. Lingering questions and concerns about his short-term and long-term viability is why he went undrafted.
Yeah,
he's rehabbing his knee.
And if it's a different knee, I mean, that makes some sense, but still, it's worth the shot to pick him up. I mean,
the guy was an animal when he was healthy, I mean, he was flying all over the field.
But that I can also see how like it's almost like a Mac Jones comparison because Mac Jones had so much good talent around him. I mean, that whole defense on Alabama was, I mean, obviously Moses is good, but like he was surrounded by the best of the best. So uh, some people just have different, like different ideas for different players at different schools. I don't know. So I don't know. We'll just kind of breeze through this. So if you had to give the top three, the best three picks of the first round, what would it be?
Oh, the best three picks of the first round.
Or you know what? Let's do safest.
Safest.
Best or safest, whatever.
Let me pull up the first round draft class real quick. So the safest picks. Let's see. I mean, like it's hard not to say Trevor Lawrence is the safest pick.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence is pretty safe. I also think Kyle Pitts is.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Pitts. Pick. And then, in all honesty, I think my third like safest pick would be where'd he go? Penei Sewell. I mean,
see, I right. That's the only thing for me. I think Surtain.
Oh, I thought we were looking at like for the team. I wasn't sure if we were talking about for them. Oh yeah,
what do you mean for them.
Like for Penei Sewell, he's not going to.
Oh no, I'm not talking about that either. I think Patrick Surtain is more safe than Sewell.
I don't know. The Broncos bolstered up their secondary in free agency because they got Ronald Darby and who's the guy from Chicago? Fuller.
Yeah,
they picked him up, and they have Bryson Callahan. I forget his name in all honesty.
They're all almost 30 years old.
Okay, then yeah, he's going to be the feature of that secondary with Justin Simmons. So yeah, I'll give you that.
Honestly, if it was any other place but Detroit for Sewell, I would probably agree with you. It's just that Detroit, you never know. I mean, they had probably the best football player in the past 25 years on their team, and he had to retire early because he couldn't play. Yeah, because they couldn't win. So
fair enough.
I guess we'll talk about our teams. Like I said, I thought Newsome.
We went with the safest. What about the most likely to bust?
Oh, I mean, let's exclude quarterbacks because
like obviously Trey Lance and Mac Jones would be the first two answers. So if we take those guys out, who do you think are most likely to bust?
I won't say Zach Wilson to be nice to you.
We just said we were excluding quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's true. I think Devonte Smith is. I mean, there's obviously more. He's not going to be a bust, but he wasn't worth a top 10 pick, and he's not going to be a bust because he will be. I mean, he will be able to catch passes. It's not like he can't do that, but just picking him in the top 10. I mean, I thought he was more. I thought he was more late first round, like mid 20s than top 10. He's just too small. He's too small.
I agree. Another way that I look at like busting is who's going to perform not where they were drafted. And my eyes immediately look like Alex Leatherwood. I agree with you with Devonta Smith, but my eyes immediately went to Alex Leatherwood just because he was being talked about in the second or third rounds, and they took him basically top half of the first round. I know it was a pick after the top half, but it was basically a top half pick.
Yeah, I don't know. Caleb Farley going to Tennessee, like I'm happy for that because I didn't really want Caleb Farley because of his injuries. He probably has more upside than Newsome, but I don't want to take on another guy that has injuries. So
right,
I was fine with that.
Peyton Turner went 28 to the Saints. I had never heard that guy's name before he called it.
Yeah, from Houston. What is with Houston or not? No, he went to Houston. What is it with the Saints and like getting these weird defensive linemen from random places? Like they got Davenport.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure that they're like scouting and they have reasoning behind it, but like they could have got him in the second round or the third round. He's projected to go in the third round. So like if you really wanted him, you didn't need to use a first round pick on him. And I get that I'm just a informed fan, if you want to call me that or anything, but like I didn't even hear this guy's name mentioned in the first round or second round when discussions.
Yeah, it wasn't. Honestly, I think every pick after Rashad Bateman in the first round, which you could probably say about the end of most first rounds. Peyton Turner, Eric Stokes, Rousseau, Adafe Owa. Is that Jason Owa? Is that his name?
So Jason was his middle name, but he wants to go by
Okay.
Odafe, I think is how it's pronounced.
Yeah. Guess how many sacks he had this year?
0.
Yeah, I told you that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we talked about it after our first round thing.
Yeah, but I mean, but looking at this now, I think like 27 didn't. I mean, Bateman makes sense for the
Great
Ravens.
pick by the Ravens.
Yeah, for once I think they did the right thing. But I mean, Peyton Turner had no business going there.
Stokes was
Eric
a little bit of a reach, but like if you're the Packers, you're not picking again for a while. So that if that's your guy, take him.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing for the rest of them. It's like you're not picking again, so just take.
I
someone.
didn't hate the Bills pick, but I really like what they did with their first 2 rounds, where they got Rousseau and then they also got Carlos Basham from Wake Forest in the second round. I don't know. I think we had talked about it when we were doing our round 1 wrap up. All of the Bills defensive linemen are like 30 or older. So they have AJ Epineza from last year's draft, who they drafted. He's more of an outside edge kind of guy. Then you get Rousseau, who's a defensive end, and Basham, who's a defensive end or an edge. They're just building up their defensive line. Because I agreed with you when you had said it the other day. Like they needed to get a pass catching tight end, but with their pick and how low it was, you weren't going to find that unless you traded up for Kyle Pitts. But I was kind of surprised to see Rousseau go there over Freiermuth because I feel like he would have fit in really well with the Bills. But if they're looking to draft down the line and to keep their defensive line solid for the next like 5 to 6 years, like it's not terrible ideology, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't love Russo, and I like Basham, but he's a pretty big unknown because they didn't get to work out. So, but yeah, I like the idea behind it. Honestly, it's the first time I've looked at. Not the first time, but one of the first times I've looked at a draft that I thought most teams would be okay with what they got.
Yeah. This is one where there aren't too many that are like, oh my God, this draft class was atrocious for them. Like, yeah, you're going to find 1 or 2 of those, like the Texans, but they didn't have a pick in like day 1 or 2.
Yeah, and like Anthony Schwartz, the Browns picked him in the 3rd round. I mean, he probably should have been gone 4th or 5th, but whatever. You'll know if he's a hit or miss on pretty much day 1 because he just runs deep.
Exactly.
The Browns are trying to become the Chiefs.
I mean, a lot of teams are trying to become the Chiefs, I think.
I mean, Anthony Schwartz is Mecole Hardman. Like, they're the same person. Except I think Schwartz is 6'1", and I think Mecole Hardman is only 5'10". But, yeah, I mean, they're the same person, which I'm fine with because that's exactly what we were missing. But hopefully with OBJ back, they should be lethal in the wide receiver area. I don't know. Let's go to day 2. We kind of talked about day 3. Anything jump out at you?
Day 3 was rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to look at the Jets real quick because I want to get this out. Michael Carter was not my favorite running back that was left on the board. I really thought that they were going to get Trey Sermon potentially, but the 49ers traded up at the end of the 3rd round to get him, which, by the way, why are the 49ers still drafting running backs? Like they have 5 or 6 of them.
They go through 5 or 6 of them a year. That's just like the same thing. Why does San Francisco have so many linebackers? It's almost like every couple of years, like San Francisco like decides to match 3 drafts together and just draft like sick defensive linemen. Like they drafted Bosa and Eric Armstead in the same draft, I think. Like, yeah. So they now they're just going for they're going to draft a quarterback again next year.
Probably. They're just going to go for depth at all the positions. It's going to be funny. So like I said, Michael Carter was not my favorite running back that was left on the board. I was a big fan of Hubbard, obviously, because we kind of talked about that a little bit. I was kind of surprised where he ended up landing. He landed with Carolina, if you don't know. That's going to be a really interesting backfield to watch now that they have CMC and him.
Don't call him CMC. Just call him Christian McCaffrey. No, I do agree, though. Carolina could be tough this year.
Yeah, they could be a tough out, even with Darnold at quarterback. He could just be that game manager that he is.
Yeah, but do they still have Robbie Anderson?
They have Robbie Anderson. They got DJ Moore.
He plays for them?
Yeah, but they got a third guy because they lost the Ohio State guy.
They lost Curtis Samuel. Yeah. Did they draft Eskridge? No.
No, they signed someone in free agency. I forget. Oh man, I know who it is too.
No, that's John. No, not John Brown. I don't know.
Was it?
What else do we have here? Steal of the draft.
I mean, it has to be Koromoa as of right now.
That's one of them, I think. It's odd to say it, but I think 7. Sewell was a steal at 7.
Yeah. I mean, he was expected top 5. No one really had him out of the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, that's a steal at 7th, I think. Looking back in the first round, once again, I just don't know why they drafted Leatherwood. That 17, 18, 19, and 20 just make no sense. Yeah, Leatherwood, Phillips, Jamin Davis, and Kadarius Toney. Oh, I mean, I guess that doesn't make sense. It's 2 NFC East teams.
True.
Yeah. So we never know what to expect from them.
Late round guys, I'm scrolling through all the teams real quick. Creed Humphrey for the Chiefs at 63 was a really solid pickup. They needed some interior guys.
Christian Darrisaw was a nice pickup at 23. By the way,
they said they were thinking about him at 14, and then they ended up getting him at 23, which was really nice.
I do like. I don't like the offensive tackle the Browns picked out of Cincinnati. I guess I don't dislike him, but he wasn't my favorite pick. Where was I going? They did get Richard LeCounte. The Browns did, and Richard LeCounte had a really, really bad pro day, but he had a really, really on film, he's a lot better.
Right.
I'm trying to think. Who else did the Browns draft?
I really like.
It's clear that Urban Meyer is going after Ohio State guys. I mean, they drafted Luke Farrell, a tight end, in the 5th round.
Yeah, but that was like the only time he dipped into the Ohio State tree.
Yeah, that's true. I liked Demetric Felton that they drafted. The Browns drafted with the 6th round pick. I think he'll probably end up being a practice team player, but hopefully he could add something to the return game. Him or Schwartz. I mean, the Browns haven't returned to kickoff for a touchdown since 2009. So
right.
A little spark in the return game would be good. I mean, we had that with Jabril Peppers a little bit, but then we traded him. So
I liked the pickup of Elijah Molden by the Titans with the 100th pick. That's like middle of the 3rd round.
Is that where he went? I was going to wonder where he went. Yeah. No, he reminds me a lot of Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah.
I would have wanted the Browns to take him, but I knew they wouldn't. He's not their type of
player. Yeah.
Yeah. I also thought Tommy Togiai, the defensive tackle from Ohio State. I thought he had a really good year. Him and Haskell Garrett had a really, really good year for Ohio State. But so I like that one. Also, there seems to be rumors that Sheldon Richardson's coming back to the Browns.
I mean, part of me is not surprised because they are looking really good and could make a deep run this year. that he could just want to pick up a ring, so he might take a veteran's discount. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just, but for whatever reason, it was just all over Twitter on after Togi got drafted. It was, I just kept seeing his name, but yeah, I just found an article that said that they would welcome him back for the right price. I mean,
right.
I mean, the Browns can't have more than like $2 or $3 million in cap right now.
Yeah, I think they're right up against the cap. Last time I looked.
Yeah, I mean, so if they could bring Sheldon Richardson back on a team-friendly deal, I obviously say this all on paper, but I mean, that's the best defense in the NFL probably on paper.
Let's look. Where are the Bengals now have the most cap room, by the way. They have 12 million or 25 million, I believe, actually.
How? They signed.
No, wait, that's wrong. They have 12 million left, like overall. The Texans are the worst cap in the NFL right now with 26 million under. The Giants are 23 million under. Where are the Cleveland Browns? Browns have the 8th most. They have 2 million left.
Yeah, you'd have. I mean, I don't even 1 year.
2 million before they go into the luxury, I should say. So you could, in theory, go to
then I mean, you'd have to negotiate it. It would have to be incentive based, I think. Yeah, but I mean, I'd welcome Sheldon Richardson back, but I'm also not begging him to come. Like I said, Richard LeCount, I mean, he was considered a top 10 pick at the beginning of this year. Then he got in a motorcycle accident, and he ran horribly at his pro day. So, but he has a lot of potential. He was All-American wide receiver in high school on the draft.
Right.
Yeah. I was happy.
All right. Are you there still?
Were you? Yeah, I said, are you happy?
You were lagging in and out there. My bad.
Yeah, I'm still gonna be lagging.
Yeah, I liked the draft for the Jets. Like I said, there was a couple of picks I would have changed. Looking back on it, like I did get super upset when they traded up for AVT, but he is going to make our line better. Instead of taking Elijah Moore, though, I would have taken Tevin Jenkins if you were trying to build up the line, because if you had a line with AVT, Becton, and Jenkins, it would have looked really, really good. But like I said, I understand a lot of the picks. I would have also took Chuba Hubbard over Michaal Carter, but Carter on tape looks like he could be a very versatile back, can be used a lot, and he'll pair well with who's the guy? Well, Michael Pirine, who is more of like a power back, and then also Tevin Coleman's thrown in there. So overall, I don't hate the draft. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see how the revamped offense works after using the first 4 picks on offense.
It's good. It's good to this is for a lot of teams. This is the best day of the year. It's when you have hope. When you have hope.
Yeah. I know this day well because it's one of the last days I get hope.
We could do final grades for teams later or something. I don't know. Just looking at next year's draft, they have a lot of places that have Spencer Rattler higher than Sam Howell, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
I mean, Sam Howell is so much more. He's built like an NFL quarterback. I guess I don't know how big Spencer Rattler is, but he seems like a twig. I don't know. Well,
and I don't really see a lot of – what is that kid's name out of USC? Slovis?
Keaton Slovis.
Yeah.
Slovis. Yeah.
He also could be a potential guy that bursts onto the scene this year, but you're with USC. There's that stigma around USC quarterbacks nowadays too.
Yeah, no, I mean, Graham Harrell's the offensive coordinator there, I believe. He used to him and Crabtree were really good at Texas Tech. But, I mean, they're going to throw Slovis like 70 times a game. No joke. So,
yeah.
But other than those two quarterbacks, one of the best corners that we've had come out in a while, I think, Derek Stingley. He had a bad year at LSU this year. Speaking of that, I wonder if there'll be any players that opt out of the fall season.
Are they going to be able to do that this year?
I mean, you just don't play for the team.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, potentially I could see it, but I really hope it doesn't come to that because, like, I already had a huge problem with seeing like people sitting out of the bowl games to focus on the draft. So now if we start seeing this become like a trend where the year before you're entering into the draft, you're basically making it a 2-and-done rule if that happens and if it's allowed for the NFL. And we've sat on here and talked about how much the 1-and-done rule sucks for the NBA or the NCAA basketball. I would really hate to see that happen because part of it is seeing how good these players are playing against the best of the best. But if the best of the best are sitting out and opting out, that would just really suck.
Yeah, I just wonder what kind of stigma it carries going forward because obviously this year, basically for everyone who opted out, they came back and turned in good test results and either stayed where they were in most mocks or got higher. Now that wasn't the case for Rousseau or some other guys, but and I heard Daniel Jeremiah say it. It's like it's almost if you missed it, anyone who opted out of last season, it shows maturity because there's no coach there to be waking you up to go to practice. There's no coach to say you got to get the grades, whatever. So it would not surprise me in the next couple of years if you see, I mean, like if another Bosa comes along, like him, something like that. It wouldn't surprise me at all, especially because I assume like those insurance policies those guys take out on their ankles and knees and legs, they just have to be getting more and more expensive, I would think, because, I mean, we lose almost a first-round player almost every year from some kind of injury like that. So I think that'll be interesting going forward to kind of see how that turns out. And then I said the top 10 for next year. Not in really any order. I do think Sam Howell's the best. And then I would either put Derek Stingley or Kayvon Thibodeau, who's an edge rusher out of Oregon. The best tackle in the draft this year is going to be Evan Neal from Alabama. Kyle Hamilton, that's early for a safety, but you never know. And then I think for the first time next year, you'll have a set of wide receivers from the same team go in the top, like the top 15 or something like that. And it won't be them. I think Garrett Wilson will play his way into top 10 contention, and Olave will just have to be good, but he's small. So I think they could both be taken in. It would shock me if they both weren't taken in the first round next year, at least. So who else do I have on here? Like I said, Desmond Ritter is another quarterback from Cincinnati. He had a good year. He's your prototypical. He's 6'4". Justin Ross, the receiver from Clemson. And like I said, Spencer Rattler, but I just don't know why. So
yeah, I don't like Rattler that much, in all honesty.
I mean, you gotta. It's hard to say you don't like Rattler because, I mean, the two quarterbacks that Oklahoma has produced, Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray, have been able to have some success at the NFL level. But I just, even watching Spencer Rattler this past year, I mean, he didn't look anything like Baker Mayfield or, I mean, even Colt McCoy did back in the day. Like, he'll get boosted up because his numbers are going to be good. And, he'll probably win the Heisman. I mean, there was no Oklahoma guy this year, so it needs to be next year. But yeah, that's I am so drained just with the draft and everything. I am so drained. I know you have finals, so that's gotta suck, but I'm just like, I'm drained. I want to talk about the draft, but like I just don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm ready for Madden 22 to have already been out.
Fair enough.
Well,
What?
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I know what you're saying. Like we've been talking about these guys now like nonstop for the past week, and
It's not like, I mean, I cover them all in the fall too for college football, so it's just like
yeah,
I just need to get training camp needs to get here, and yeah, we'll figure it out. But I don't know. That's gonna do it today. I think I'm plugged out.
you're plugged out. You don't want to do the Rushmore?
Let's not do Rushmore, but just name some of the couple of ones. I mean, in my lifetime, I can think of.
Well, for those that don't know, the Mount Rushmore today was draft busts and
All right,
across
go
every
ahead.
sport.
Okay, you can go first. I'll go second.
No, that's fine. I didn't want to get into it without telling people what it was.
Anthony Bennett for the Cavs, drafted number 1 overall, I think in like 2015. I think he was out of the league by the end of 2016.
Yeah, he's
mean,
playing
he
ball up
was.
in Canada now, right?
I have no idea. That was one of the we talk about how weird the NBA is. This was even before it got super weird. It was the weirdest pick ever. It was like this freshman out of San Diego State, and it was just like, oh yeah, he was bad for the Cavs. Obviously, Darko Milicic.
Yeah, that was going to be the guy for me. I mean, he was taken after LeBron James, but before Bosh, Wade, and Melo.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, talk about just being like just the one guy who seriously sucked in the draft.
Yeah. Well,
also, imagine being the Pistons who took him. I mean, if had the Pistons taken either like Melo, Wade, Bosh, any of those guys, I mean, they probably would have won more than one NBA title. I mean, they won, I think, one with Chauncey, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince.
Yeah.
I mean, just add Carmelo to that, and that would have been clearly the best team in the NBA.
Add anyone useful to that.
Yeah.
Bosh, Wade, Melo, literally anyone else.
That's a starting five. Well, honestly, that's a starting five, and it's a starting five that probably wins 90% of their games, if not 95% of their games. Yeah, you just play, Darko Milicic. You just play the five. Get some rebounds for us.
Exactly. Another guy that a lot of people forget about because the MLB draft is not like a big event and everything, but Matt Bush was the number 1 overall pick in 2004. Got drafted by his hometown Padres and everything, but he ended up battling serious drug problems. Felt entitled to the millions of dollars that he had already earned, and drunkenly assaulted a high school lacrosse player with a golf club, screaming, "I'm effing Matt Bush."
Wait, say it again.
What?
Say that again. I lost you for a second. Go on. Just restart it.
Yeah, he was number 1 overall pick in 2004 to the Padres. Thought they were getting the next all-star. Instead, got a guy who battled drug problems, felt entitled to all the millions that he had, and then drunkenly assaulted a high school lacrosse player with a golf club, screaming, "I'm effing Matt Bush."
That's wonderful.
He's now in prison, by the way, in case you were wondering.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to talk about busts that are in prison, I mean, Aaron Hernandez.
Was he drafted really high?
I don't know.
I mean, I thought you were going to say Charles Rodgers. Taking number 2.
Rodgers.
Yeah,
from out of Michigan State. Out of Michigan State.
2003. Taking number 2 overall. And was he the guy that went to prison?
Who?
Charles Rodgers. I feel like he's the guy that ended up in prison.
Probably. I mean, he went to Michigan State. Hold on, I'll look it up.
It was either him or I might be thinking of the guy who played for the Panthers.
He's headed to a tree. He's in jail, headed to a tree. That's from 2012. I have no idea what happened to him then.
Dead at 38 because he battled cancer and liver disease. That's not who I was thinking of. I was thinking of Ray Caruth. That's who I was thinking of.
I have one, obviously. This one. Len Bias, obviously, got shot.
Did he get shot?
I think so. No, he died from cardiac arrhythmia.
Yeah, Len
Induced by
Bias went number 1 and then went out after his draft party, got coked up and died.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's terrible.
Yeah, the Celtics drafted him, thought he was literally considered the next Michael Jordan, then couldn't handle like the fame and got so excited he went out and got coked up and died.
It's unfortunate.
Speaking of Michael Jordan, Sam Bowie, the guy that was taken before Michael Jordan, who ended up killing himself.
Tom, why are you bringing all these people that have died?
I'm reading off a list.
Kwame
Brown.
Kwame Brown. But the weirdest thing about Kwame Brown is like he was really, 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 really bad when he first came in the league, but he actually stuck around for a few years. And towards the end of his career, he wasn't like terrible.
Yeah, he wasn't awful, but he wasn't like in the league long enough to not be terrible for a long period of time. We haven't even mentioned Jamarcus Russell, by the way.
That's because Jamarcus Russell was too good for the NFL. He could throw the ball too far.
On his knees.
Yes, that's one of the funniest stories. What was it, like end line to end line on his knees?
Yeah, he was like, yeah, I could do this, and then he went out and did it.
Do we think Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes could do that?
I feel like one of them could, yeah.
I feel like probably Josh Allen could.
Yeah, I agree. Ryan Leaf is another draft bust, but
yeah,
he would be the biggest bust of all time for sure if he was taken before Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning sucks. No, I'm just kidding. So I guess we can end with this. Where do we think Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing next year?
I was trying to not bring up Aaron Rodgers because I don't like Aaron Rodgers by any means.
Why don't you like Aaron Rodgers?
I don't like Aaron Rodgers whatsoever. There's too many things about him that I just don't like, especially the fact that he's a big baby. You know, he didn't like McCarthy, so he drove out the coach, and then they still sucked because he takes a monster contract so that they can't afford guys to come in. He's also a terrible recruiter and doesn't go get guys to come play with him like Brady did. But most importantly, now he's throwing another hissy fit trying to get the GM fired after he got the coach fired. And he's a big baby about a bunch of stuff, man. I don't like him.
I got to tell you, Packers fans love Aaron Rodgers and hate the GM and everyone. Like all my other co-workers were in a tizzy on Thursday night about the Aaron Rodgers thing. So, but they all seem to hate him. They want the GM gone.
I mean, I'm sure because, like we've said, Rodgers is probably the most physically talented quarterback we might have ever seen, and they don't want to lose that.
9 out of the last 10 years, they've drafted defense in the first round, except for one
when
year
they drafted his backup
quarterback. Yes,
yeah, and so, I get all that. Trust me, I do. But like, and also like another factor is like kind of the way that he handles his family life. I don't know if you remember, but his brother was like calling him out on ESPN or whatever for not checking on his mom during the wildfires because it was going on during there. But like he's completely disconnected from his family, which is just like crazy to me, I guess. I don't know. I don't like the guy by any means. I think he's been a big baby a lot of his career. And I think he just kind of needs to like if he were to come in and say, yeah, I'll take a pay cut, go out and get me some receivers, like fine. I'll respect that. That's why I respect Brady, even though I hate him. But like Rodgers doesn't do that. He's always taken the money at every opportunity that he's possibly been able to. And he then complains and whines that he doesn't have a good team around him.
Are you jealous of Aaron Rodgers or something?
No, I just don't like him. I hate everything about him.
I mean, I guess I could. That's kind of like me and Dabo Swinney, but Dabo Swinney deserves to be hated. Like Aaron Rodgers. All I'm saying is that from the Packers' point of view, they all agree with Aaron Rodgers. So, and the fact that yes, Aaron Rodgers took the money, I get that. So I don't. He's kind of like Kevin Love in the situation. I don't blame him, or I understand why he's in the situation he is. But winning 2 Super Bowls over
He
the
won one
span.
Super Bowl.
No, but don't. Hey, how about you let me finish? Winning 2 Super Bowls with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, because Brett Favre won one. The Packers over 40 years have only won 2 Super Bowls with 2 of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. Kind of points to.
Don't they have 4 Super Bowls or 5 Super Bowls as a franchise?
But I'm just saying. Also, no quarterback has ever played more than 16 seasons
I saw
in
that.
Green Bay.
And this is he just finished his 16th.
His 16th, yep. Yes, so I don't love Aaron Rodgers, but I don't hate him.
I'm not a fan. I'll say that much.
Clearly, you're very jealous.
Let's see. They have 11 NFL championships and then 4 Super Bowls. They won the first 2. They won the one with Favre and the one with Rodgers.
Yeah. So, well, that's also like something different. I don't know where I was going. Okay, that's it. I completely forgot where I was going. Like I said, we actually made it in decent time today. I don't know when we're going to be recording next because you have finals, so I'm sure you'll let me know.
Probably Wednesday because I'm done. I have my last finals tomorrow, so then probably Wednesday, and then I work Friday and Saturday, or Thursday, Friday.
Do you make the rules or do I make the rules?
I was just telling you
I make the rules. I know. Yeah, so we'll probably be back on here. We kind of really need to what are we going to talk about the next couple months?
Well, next week we can do our draft grades. I know you love talking about the draft and you're not sick of it, but we could talk.
I'm not. Honestly, we can keep talking about the Browns draft for the next 16 hours. I'm fine with that. But I don't care about the Packers draft.
Well, we got to at least give our grades on them. So we can talk about that next time, and then we can discuss over the weekend what we do going forward until football season.
I think we have to either get into like F1 racing or cricket.
We could do some cricket. I was thinking we could also do some fantasy football.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, I'm not worried. We're gonna come up with things to talk about. It's
I'm just
not
saying
that hard.
that's what I was thinking. I like that.
I was just meeting with Randy, and I was like, this morning, I was like, I don't know what we're gonna do when there's no football. But like I said, we'll figure it out, and Tom will figure it out because he's the smartest one. So good luck on the rest of your finals or papers or partnerships. I don't know what they do in college anymore. But yeah, so we'll be back later this week, probably Wednesday, with some draft grades. So next on Wednesday we'll do our Mount Rushmore of busts, and they can be every sport too.
Okay, and we'll do our draft grades. We'll just go straight through. Start them early, go through, and if there's time, we'll do the busts.
Yeah. All right. So that's going to do it for us. Tom, any last words?
Let's go Dogs, baby. Let's go.